I noticed you referred to 5 degrees. It's interesting alignment of the theme in the film with ideas of academic achievement, but there we go. I've got a question from David Somerville from downstairs, but I see a hand at the back. What I'd like to do, because time is actually quite short, folk, is pick up the theme of how do we change the debate. Let's assume we're all converted here. Let's assume that there are concerns about what is being communicated. So I'd like to have some observations, please, about that. I've got a hand at the very back, which is up first, and I'll take 1, 2. Just comments about how to change the debate or anything else that you feel pressed to say.
Yeah, Jim Dench from Web Forestry Scotland. I really loved the film. My problem was at the end, I felt it was a bit trite, what was coming from some of the people speaking. So one of the guys was saying, oh, we'll be all right, you know, natural world might die out, but we'll be okay. Well, we won't be okay, because millions of people will suffer in places that we don't live in here, in, you know, nice Scotland, places like Africa where it's already really impacting. So that's kind of one point. So we can forget that very easily, and we need to change that debate. And secondly, another guy said, well, you know, you need to grow up, have children, you need to grow up and be the best scientists and engineers you can be. And I'm concerned that, you know, we look at technological solutions all too easily rather than getting people to change behaviour or, you know, change mindsets and the way we actually do things as a society.
Okay, that's a big point about behaviour change, and I know there's a lot of research emerging, but we still don't really understand, do we, yet, what it takes. So that's what, gentlemen, immediately in front of you, yes, here we are, and then here, and then here. Yep.
I'm interested in the pub you're going to in Leeds, because...
That was the pub, was it?
The pub you go to in Leeds. I work in a shed out in near Kirk Liston, and there are exactly no scientists in it. And I don't think there's anybody in it who does not believe in global warming. I find that the people who don't believe in global warming generally drive Jaguars and live somewhere else. So I don't actually think that there is a huge belief against global warming, and I don't actually think that anybody who has children doesn't know a great deal more about how the polar bears are dying out than we do. They know far more about it than we do. I think nobody's asking them to do anything or to change their life in any way that they can understand, and that the people who are making a noise about global warming, who are us, are not changing our life.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody in this room can stand up and say that today they're using half the energy that they were using 5 years ago. We're not. We're using exactly the same amount. So they look at us, think they know it all, they're not doing anything, fine, we'll not do anything.
If I may say so, that's a great point, because what that does is challenge an assumption that's made about what people do actually overall believe, know, or understand, and therefore once we correct ourselves.
I mean, we should get some people in from Leeds, but
Well, you may have people from Leeds.
And maybe that's part of the problem, but let's leave that from... Yes? Okay.
Hi, Kate Beckman from Heriot-Watt University. So we've heard about the science and the need for communication. I won't be the first person to draw the parallel. We're in a tragedy of the commons, and it's still, burning fossil fuels is still the cheapest way we have of producing energy, which is at the base of our economy. So, learned panel, what would it take for there to be a change so that we can get ourselves out of this tragedy of the commons? Even the politicians, you know, they have this dual thinking. They know they should be doing something about global warming, but the trade-off against economic growth and price of bread is too great. So what can you, in your visions, what can you see that will change that?
And can I use that as a platform into David Somerville's question from downstairs? He's actually also from the University of Edinburgh. He asks, or makes the point, the striking assertion from 2 of the researchers summing up at the end, that we need to move to zero carbon dioxide emissions within 50 years seems completely otherworldly. What investments, what solutions does the panel think might help to move in that direction? So I suppose the panel you're being asked, what needs to happen radically to change, to move towards that, which acknowledges the tragedy of the commons, which is emerging before our very eyes, but which of course is not solely the preserve of climate change. It tends to be the way that we humans have operated over the many years. Susan, one thing that we need to do.
The phrase dual thinking was used. I went to see a performance of 1984 at the weekend, which reminded me of that notion of doublethink. I think our capacity for doublethink is just immense, absolutely across the piece, whether you're Joe punting a pub in Leith Walk or whether you're the leader of a country. And I just think we've got to start facing up to that. And I think the first step is to just have a much more grounded, open, sensible conversation. We can be too fancy by half, frankly, in the way that we discuss some of these issues. I'm not suggesting that we shouldn't have access to the best possible science and so on, but we have to learn to talk about these things in a way that's really grounded. It's just nuts that we do things like ship prawns halfway around the world to be frozen and packaged and brought back again. I got a delivery note for a pair of trainers that I ordered for my son's Christmas that had passed through, I think it was 6 different countries to get to me. And, okay, so I shouldn't have ordered them, etc. But, I'm looking...
Isn't that the point?
Yeah.
That there is making, you shouldn't have ordered them.
Well, absolutely, and but that is the point, that as long as we keep having a conversation that says, well, it's all them over there, or somebody else has got to do something, then we're just going to go round and round and round. I think, there is that thing about holding up a mirror to ourselves individually and to us as a society collectively, and yes, to our policy and our politics. Because, and I'm allowed to say this because I got that frustrated with it. I walked, so you could argue that's maybe defeatist or something. But I think we're incredibly tolerant of our politics, which has the most immense propensity for doublethink in this area and in many, many others. And we don't challenge it. So, yeah, we've got a personal responsibility to do just that. But it's got to be grounded and it's got to be an accessible conversation. If it's something that's just owned by so-called experts, then then we're just, by definition, not going to move forward.
You started off by saying better conversations, and I wonder, allying this with what Alex was saying earlier on, it is better conversations in which we can nevertheless challenge people respectfully but also rigorously. And that's, I know we've talked about this before, but that really does seem to lie at the heart of all of it, doesn't it? Andy, one thing, one solution.
I think the key thing is to make the point that there is no social or technical reason why we can't do it. So although people say it's very, very difficult, it's not impossible. It's actually perfectly possible to do it right now with the technology we've got and the humans we have on the planet. So the issue is it's not important enough to us to do it. That's as simple as that. So therefore you have to make it important enough for us to do something about it. And whether that's, on the business side, bringing the cost of energy down of other sources of energy, that's one way, or it is persuading people to change their behaviours, it's another way. It is simply about making it important enough for us as a society to choose to do it. And it's entirely up to us. Yeah? It's a choice that we make that we're not doing it, and it's a choice to make that we could do it. And it's that. So I'd say it's a matter of making it important enough for us collectively to